Highlights from the second race of the GB4 Championship this weekend as we'd race our way down into the first corner. It was an excellent start from Lucas Blakely, who would take the lead of the race, coming down to the first corner from Linus Gramfors, dropping back now into second position. Meanwhile, it was all side by side behind that. A poor start from Baxter would leave him into the clutches of Harry Burgoyne Jr. and then eventually Brandon Templeton as well as they'd depart onto the hanger straight. Alicia Palmovsky was trying to make her way up the order whilst making a move down the inside at Stowe, trying to pass Linus Gramfors. The pair would remain side by side in the exit of Stowe. And then even around the club section as well. There'd be a little bit of contact between the pair of them as they'd head their way back out onto the Hamilton straight as Alicia Palmovsky dropped two wheels into the dirt, and it did leave a little bit of damage onto the rear end of Gramfors' car. Meanwhile, Palmovsky was trying to work her way back up as she'd battle with Brandon Templeton for fourth position. She'd eventually get through, whilst Brandon Templeton was still trying to find a way past. Baxter involved in the fight, as well as Finn Harrison in the 38 as he was sneaking his way past Baxter going into the village loop section. Down the inside he would go as it head up towards Aintree. It was Finn Harrison working his way up the order after a poor qualifying and a difficult race yesterday. Fifth position he was aiming for. At the moment he was running in sixth. Meanwhile there was side by side behind him as well between Baxter and Wilson, who battled so brilliantly back at Snetterton. The pair of them going side by side through Loughwood. Unfortunately it would end up being a retirement for Wilson due to a technical issue. He'd be over to one side coming out of turn one. Harry Burgoyne Jr. was keeping his eyes in his mirrors as he was fending off Brandon Templeton, the two elite motorsports drivers of Alicia Palmovsky and Finn Harrison. Alicia Palmovsky losing a little bit of ground in the championship as there was a bit of a lock up there from Brandon Templeton. Almost three wide as they'd worked their way back out towards the club corner, and it was going to be Finn Harrison through. Alicia Palmovsky still struggling to find a way past, but would eventually find it down into Stowe late on in the race. Meanwhile, ahead of all of this, it was the most dominant victory in GB4's history from Lucas Blakely, who took it from Gramfors and Burgoyne.
Welcome to Silverstone for the final race of the weekend in the GB4 Championship. It's the reverse grid race. John Jackson with Piers Pryor alongside me for one last time this weekend. This race always throws up, well, a lot of drama, doesn't it? Like last time out at Snetterton.
Yeah, we always get good racing, especially at Silverstone in the reverse grid race. Silverstone and the GB4 cars always produce good racing because long straight slipstreaming action. We've seen that this weekend and we've seen it in years gone by, and the reverse grid race no different, with the whole grid being reversed because everyone in qualifying was within 103% of the fastest lap time, including our new addition to the championship. But we'll get on to that later.
Absolutely, we've seen some epic battles here before. I'm thinking of sort of Nicholas Taylor and Max Maserati from back in the first year of GB3, and we had, you know, obviously Tom Mills last year doing some amazing things as he went on to win the championship. Last time out, in the car that Tom Mills drove last year with KMR Sport, Lucas Blakely, the F1 World Sim Racing Champion. I know there's an official title, it's not the right one, but whatever. He's won the Sim Racing World Championship in F1, and he's translated that into GB4, and now he's at a stage where he's winning races, but not just winning races, he won by nearly 15.5 seconds in that last race. Now, this is a reverse grid race, so Lucas Blakely is one of the fastest drivers we'll be starting, very near the back. But with that kind of pace, you're going to expect him to be making up a lot of places.
Yeah, we are. I'm expecting Blakely and Gramfors particularly to be making their way through the field because they, in the first couple of races, the first race of the weekend were the drivers that drove away from the field. Second race, Gramfors struggled a bit, but after the race we found out that it was because of the contact between Alicia Palmovsky and Gramfors on the exit of club corner. Bent a rear suspension arm of Gramfors' car, so he just didn't have the grip and handling that he needed, which contributed to Blakely's extreme distance in terms of his victory. But at the same time, Blakely drove an excellent race. So looking forward to those drivers coming through, along with all the rest of the regular runners and riders. But also we've got some drivers who've been a bit slow this weekend, who have got a great opportunity starting at the front of the field to get their best result this weekend and potentially get on the podium.
Yeah, we've seen some great female races in the GB4 Championship over the year. Of course, you can think back to Megan Gilks and Logan Hanna. We've also got Chloe Grant racing this year back, and she was there in the inaugural year as well. And we also have an all-female front row for this race now. We're going to hear about Ava Dobson in just a second. She's making her debut here this weekend. Wisconsin local from over in the United States of America. Her first European racing weekend ever. She'll be starting on pole position. Also, Megan Bruce will be starting alongside her, and Megan spoke with our very own Naomi earlier.
So Megan, P8 for you in race 2. How was that on the car?
Yeah, it was good. I got a good start at the start and tried to keep position with Leon. He just got ahead of me. But yeah, I tried to stay more with the mid-pack because that's where we lost out yesterday. And yeah, it was a bit more difficult towards the end, but yeah, the start was good.
And we've seen, some improvements with your racing. How does that feel at this point in the year now?
Yeah, I think I've been working a lot physically on it, because that's probably the biggest thing holding me back at the moment, just like getting tired in the car and muscles and stuff like that. So I've been working a lot of that, and just obviously more time in the car, you learn more, and you understand more of it technically and stuff. So yeah.
And what are your plans for later on with race 3?
Hopefully get another good start, because they've been quite good over the weekend, and hopefully get ahead of the guys in front, and hopefully some people defend more at the back, that I can stay near the front.
Thank you very much, Megan.
Megan Bruce there, chatting with Naomi earlier on. Her best finish so far was last time out, actually, the last race hang on, would that be the last race? No, it'd be the last race at Snetterton, of course, sorry. Yeah, that was 6th place for her, also finishing 7th a little bit earlier in the season. So starting on the front row for Megan, she's going to really want to, I mean, maybe a podium might be a little bit tricky, because there are a lot of faster drivers around and behind, as we've mentioned already. But you'd think that improving on that result would be a good way to end her weekend.
Absolutely, it would be great for her. The Fox Motorsport team have been working well. We saw Brandon Templeton right up there and challenging for podium position in that last race, but he had struggling with a bit of rear grip. And Megan, of course, is being helped by the team, and also Liam McNeely's here this weekend to race with us in Fox Motorsport last year and gone on to race in America. And I think Megan is coming on every single race. Every single time we see her, she gets closer and closer to the front running pace, and all of the grid within 103%, as I mentioned before, which is, no mean feat. So as much as it's not the biggest grid we had in GB4, it's still very close. And starting in second, she's got a great opportunity.
Yeah, and also having, the advice of Liam McNeely, as you mentioned there, with Fox, who was obviously racing in the championship last year over in North America, now doing his thing in USF Juniors. Having that kind of expertise in her corner, that's going to be something that's very important here, because, you were telling me in our first broadcast this weekend about, the kind of lines that you'd want to be taking in these types of cars. So having that advice in her ear is only going to help.
Yes, it's the lines, of course, and the very nitty-gritty stuff like where to brake, where to turn, but it's also confidence in the weekend, how to get the most out of the tyre and qualifying for a good qualifying session, how to manage the race, how to get the tyres in warmed properly so that you can have a good first lap, and all the stuff around it that is valuable experience that someone like Liam McNeely and the team can give drivers who are starting their single-seater racing journey like Megan Bruce is. Excellent.
Well, Megan Bruce starts second on the front row, and Ava Dobson, a brand new driver for this weekend, starts on pole position with the VRD by Arden team. We caught up with her at the start of the weekend, and she also caught up with Naomi ahead of this race.
Ava, P9 for you, obviously a few difficult starts, but you're just getting to grips with it. How was that race?
It was actually pretty well for just the beginning. I mean, yesterday was a bit of a struggle with the start, and today also was a struggle with the start, but I'm just happy I got off the grid. So I'm just looking forward to the next race to do some more improvements and everything I can.
And how different has it been from racing over in America to coming over here in GB3 in Europe?
It definitely is very different. I mean, all the tracks in America, that at least that I've raced on, are very technical and not very high speed. So I'm not used to tracks like Silverstone, which are more high speed, like honestly everywhere. And the environment's so much different, and the way everything's handled here is different. So I'm just getting used to it.
And looking forward to the reverse race. What are your plans for that one?
I'm definitely just going to try to get a better start, be smooth, put my head down, and just try to go as fast as I can go.
Thank you very much, Ava. Good luck.
Thank you.
And her teammate, Leon Wilson, will start 5th for this race. Leon actually had a podium, his only podium so far this year, here at Silverstone the first time around. And, potential to get another one here, starting so close to the podium places.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're actually officially teammates, because
are they not? This was
VRD.
Arden.
It's VRD are running Ava Dobson, and it's VRD and by Arden.
Okay. Let's call them racing relatives.
Yes, I think we'll go with
racing
that.
relatives. That's fine. Let's hear from Leon Wilson.
So, Leon, obviously we saw you DNF from that race. What happened? I don't think we really saw clearly on the TV.
Well, I just tried to have a good move around the outside of Baxter at Brooklands, and then got the inside for Luffield and was ahead at the apex, and then was ahead on the exit of the corner as well, and then the just front end plate gave me a puncture. So there's not really much we can do about it, but hopefully looking good for race 3 and hopefully get a win.
And, you said you're starting about 6th or 7th for the reverse grid. What are your plans from there?
Hopefully get a good start this time, because we didn't have the best start this race, but just trying to get a good start, get some good overtakes, and hopefully go for the win.
Thank you very much, Leon. Thank you.
There we go, Leon Wilson, who'll start 5th on the grid for this race. Then, of course, something we talked about earlier in the weekend, which you might not have caught, is something that's causing a bit of a buzz in the paddock, because on Thursday and Friday we saw the brand new GB4 car for 2025. Now, Max Maserati, who's basically driven the same cars you've driven, the old sort of F3 car, also drove in GB4 with the current car they're using now. He was chosen a very esteemed position to try out this new GB4 car, and it looked fantastic out on track. It sounded great as well, and I caught up with him earlier in the weekend as we took a look at the new car for 2025 for the very first time. So here it is, the brand new GB4 car for 2025 onwards. Behind me is the Tatus MSV GB4-025 that will become very, very familiar from next year onwards. A totally redesigned aero package. We've got the halo for the very first time in the GB4 Championship. This car very similar looking to the current GB3 car, which will change in 2025. And one of the main differences on the GB3 car, you'll see the big air intake on the left-hand side here. Well, the air intake is now on the top in this GB4 car, and I have a man that's standing by right now that can tell us more about what it's like to drive this car. And actually, if that makes any difference at all, that is Max Maserati, who has driven in the GB4 Championship. You've driven a GB3 car, and now you're the first person to have tested this new GB4 car. First question, does that air intake do anything different to the GB3 on the side? Is it just a positioning thing?
Yeah, it's just a positioning thing. I'd say the car itself is really great. It's really good to sort of have the next generation car, and it looks aesthetically, before you even get into anything about what it's doing, it looks great. It looks like a full proper, this next gen. It looks like a good car. So
it is very, very pleasing on the eye. I know that the first thing you noticed was the brakes, so tell me about why the brakes are different to the current GB4 car.
The current car, you really have to smash it. Like when we're coaching or driving ourselves, you look at about 100 bar pressure for like big braking zones, which is quite hard, especially if you're a 15, 16-year-old hitting 100 bar to slow the car down. It's obviously really difficult. The brakes in this car is much, much better. So the carb deceleration is incredible. It's really, really good.
We know these cars are obviously very safe, the current GB4 car, the current GB3 car as well, but there's enhanced safety measures here. We can see the halo on top here. That's an obvious one, but also there's increased strength in the side pods as well, the side impacts there. So as a driver, that must be very reassuring for you as well.
Yeah, it is. It is. Again, I think it's better. We've seen F1 obviously did it quite a while ago, and then it's leaked into all the feeder series on the way. So, I think it's just a standard now. You've got to have it. So it's really good that GB4 is incorporating this and having the halo on it. And, like obviously handling wise, it does change the car a bit. The old GB4 being quite a lot lighter, it's heavier, but the car's, still good. It makes up for it, and it's mega.
We have a slightly different engine to the GB3 car as well, because obviously the GB4 Championship, we have drivers from 15 years and up, so we've got a 2-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. That's still got some serious grunt though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's got a really good amount of power, and it's naturally aspirated. So again, driving a little bit different to the old car. With the old car, you had to be in higher gears normally to get the power would come from lower revs. Well, this one, it's naturally aspirated, so you can get it from higher revs. So it's you drive it a little bit differently, do a little bit different things with the gears. So that'll be interesting when all the new teams get this. All teams are back to square one in terms of learning about what they're going to do with setup. Drivers learning how to sort of get fast with the new car compared to what they've been doing with the old one.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting to see these cars out on track. Max, thanks very much. We'll let you get back to your driver coaching, and maybe we'll see you in this car doing a bit more testing again. For more information on this brand new GB4 car for 2025 onwards, check out the GB4 website. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much to Max Maserati there. Obviously very passionate about the new car. You didn't actually see it, Piers. I don't think you were here. They packed it up and put it back in a van before you got here.
Maybe I'll get to see it at some other point, but I've heard all the facts.
You need to have a little drive of it later on this year, I think. I think we need to get Piers Pryor in the car, because you could you could drive round and you can actually tell us what you think as you're driving round.
Well, maybe.
It looks good though, right? You like the look of that as a driver?
Yeah, 100%. Of course, it's moving forward in terms of safety, which is very important for the drivers and the championship in general. But I think it's moving forward in terms of performance, should hopefully still be an affordable entry into single-seater slicks and wings. And also, hopefully, it means that we are going to have another close year of racing next year and attract some new drivers.
Looking forward to that. So on my right over here, we've got Callum Baxter in the Graham Brenton racing car. It's white-blue with a little bit of red on there as well, the number 45 car. One of the drivers who could make up a few places in this race, you'd like to think. Just going through some last-minute focus with his nice umbrella there. The sun's come out again. Most of the drivers, as I look back, have got umbrellas. Harry Burgoyne Jr. here, who we've spoken to before, a podium in the last race in the KMR Sport car. Lots of sponsors all over Harry's car, very, very much adorned by sponsors, and I always like to say thank you to the sponsors. That means that we can go racing. It's always very much appreciated, and as a racer yourself, I'm sure you will fully back up that statement. Yep. Behind Harry, we have Lucas Blake. Do you think Lucas will talk to us? Do you want to see if he'll have a word?
Yeah, why not? Why don't we have a quick word? We can have a quick chat, Lucas. Lucas, a very strong weekend so far, of course. What can you do for the reverse grid race?
Yeah, well, hopefully stay out of trouble at the beginning because, these races can be pretty chaotic. But, it's a sunny day here at Silverstone, sun's out, so it's not raining, I'm just looking at this, I'm just looking at the simple things at this point. I've had a really fun weekend and, we'll see how we get on.
Can you give us a number? Where do you think you can get to? Can you get to the top 5?
I forgot how to count, I don't know, I can't remember.
Lucas, good luck in the race. Great to chat to Lucas. He was optimistic he can move forward in this one.
When you race with glasses, I know you didn't race with glasses, can they steam up? Surely they must do.
I've never raced with glass, so I don't know actually. I assume they can do, but if you leave a little gap in the visor, a bit of fresh air, and I'm sure it keeps clear.
I'd imagine it's probably a good idea if you need glasses to race with glasses rather than no glasses. I think them steaming up would be the least of your worries. Let's quickly have a look at the track then. We're racing here at Silverstone for the final time this weekend in the GB4 Championship.
So the Silverstone circuit, the home of British motorsport, with some of the most iconic corners in all of the world. Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, the run down the hanger straight into Stowe. You've got the Vale Chicane Club. Obviously the newer the section that was built back in 2010 with the Village Loop at Aintree, down towards Brooklands and Luffield, and out onto the old start-finish straight, the national start-finish straight, which is where we will be beginning racing this weekend. Of course, the 18 turns of circuit showed plenty of overtaking opportunities around here of the 3.6 miles. It's about 5 kilometres all the way around and very little in terms of elevation, just 11.3 metres all the way around. It's a tricky track.
Let's ride on board a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit with the Fox Motorsport driver of Brandon Templeton. Going into turn 1 Copse, we're going to use the curb on the left-hand side to open up the apex. A small lift through here, try not to use the brakes, and then back to full power, watching out for track limits on the exit. We'll make our way down to Maggots and Beckett's, which is an amazing sequence of corners, especially in the GB4 cars. Small lift for Maggots, a bit of an oversteer moment there for Brandon, then braking and down a gear for Beckett's, and then just getting the nose in and getting on the power nice and hard on the exit of Chapel for the long run down the hanger straight, where in the last few years we've seen lots of slipstreaming action, and you can overtake on both the inside and the outside if you get it just right into the next corner, which is Stowe. Ever so slightly uphill on the entry, just rubbing the brakes down 1 gear, and then we get to the inside of the corner. Car goes light through the middle of the corner, it can easily wash you wide over track limits on the exit. Mustn't do that in qualifying, otherwise your lap will get deleted. Braking hard down to 3rd gear for Vale, use the curb on the left hand side, stay left, and then try and be as close to flat out through the right-hander as you can be for Club. Completely flat out onto the Hamilton straight now, another section of the circuit where slipstreaming will bring the cars closer together in the race. We're going to go completely flat out if we can through Abbey, both in qualifying and race trim, watching out for track limits on the exit, it can drag you off there. Flat out again through Farm, pulling to the left-hand side for the entry of Village, difficult to do because you're braking and turning. Again, a little wobble from Brandon under the brakes. Back to the right-hand side for the loop, a clumsy corner, but vital for lap times. Now we're heading out through Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight, another long straight on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. One of the longest, it's the longest circuit we go to this year in the GB4 calendar. Again, overtaking on the inside and outside in the race here, braking on the curb to open up the corner, lightly into the corner, nip the apex in the middle, all the way out to the right-hand side, then fire it hard into Luffield for the last corner. Get into the first apex, don't need to make the second apex as long as you get good traction, and again using all the track on the exit without going over track limits. And finally, to the final corner, that is a lap of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the GB4 car.
Well, while we were watching that, Piers was noticing tyres, weren't you? You were looking at the tyres, and a lot of drivers going with newer tyres on the left-hand side. Why would that be?
Yeah, of course, GB4 drivers all get 6 brand new tyres for their race weekend, so qualifying in 3 races. They'll put, of course, 1 full set, so 4 tyres on for qualifying, and then they've got 2 new tyres to use for the rest of the races as they see fit. And the drivers first, second and third on the grid, so Ava Dobson, Megan Bruce and Finn Harrison, all taking brand new left-hand side tyres in this race because they think they've got a good opportunity at a podium. So that should give them a slight pace advantage, very much in the medium and middle and end of the race compared to the drivers around sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th and backwards.
Going to put you on the spot a little bit, but you may not know the stats exactly, but if your tyres are a little bit cooked, if you're one of those drivers at the back that maybe doesn't have these new sets of tyres on the sides, I mean, the car's going out, so you're going to have to give me a very quick answer. This might have saved you here. How much time are you likely to lose around this track, do you think?
Oh, well, it's a big backfire from one of the cars. Probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 tenths a lap with the old tyres, but the new tyres are slightly harder to get to switch on, but it shouldn't be so hard with this high track temperature.
Excellent stuff. Well, look, the cars are ready to go out, so for one final time this weekend, it is the reverse grid race here in the GB4 Championship. So let's go racing here at Silverstone.
And so it's time for the last race of the weekend for us here at Silverstone, and of course the reminder is the journey that we've been on where Linus Granfor has opened out the season by leading the championship after the first couple of rounds. He's relinquished it to Harry Burgoyne Jr. after the Snetterton 300 round just a couple of weeks ago. He has returned to the top of the championship here at Silverstone. Can he hold it though all the way through to Donington Park and of course to Brands Hatch? We'll have to wait and see. This weekend has been fairly helpful for Linus Granfor's victory in the first race of the weekend. Still finished strongly in the race earlier on in the day, and of course looks to go strongly here in the reverse grid race. Last one for us at Silverstone in 2024. Let's remind you of the circuit then for one final time. Of course, it opened back in 1948. It's undergone many changes in that time, including in the early 90s where Magnus, Beckers and Chapel was added. Of course, the 2010 rebuild of the circuit where the likes of Aintree and the Village Loop section were added. And of course, that rundown into Brooklands and Luffield were changed. The 18 turns of the circuit should see some good racing in this reverse grid race, of course. 3.6 miles, 5.2 kilometres, and of course just 11 metres of elevation. They'll head their way out onto the grid. We'll remind you as to where they're all starting from. But let's be honest, this is going to be a fun one for the championship. Linus Granfor's lead the championship on 309 points. He's 16 clear of Harry Burgoyne Jr., who is also a further few clear of Alicia Palmovsky, who sits on 275. But already the marshal's running out to the other side of the circuit. Alicia Palmovsky has been given a grid penalty. She'll drop down the order. I'll update you with the positions in just a second. But Ava Dobson will be starting from the pole position. Of course, there's McGlade. Ooh, I can't even say my own name. Lucas McGlade and Piers Pryor in the comedy mix. Hello.
Lewis. Yes, Ava Dobson on pole position. Actually struggled with her starts in the first couple of races. A stall in race 1 and not the best start in race 2, so she will be hoping for a good getaway in race number 3 to give herself the best opportunity of a good result.
Well, as they roll their way through Cops, I did say there's been a few grid penalties. It's 3 in totality when it comes to grid penalties around here, as Dan Hickey's at the rear of the field, which he's not slated to be in, but I'll update you on that one, it's fine, as they head their way down into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Of course, Ava Dobson will be at the front of the field. You can imagine the pressure on her shoulders, whose goal for the weekend was to not finish last. She finished in 9th position in the previous race, which is not too bad, as we'll see the grid order in just a second. We Ava Dobson and Megan Bruce starting on the front row of the grid. Finn Harrison will be starting from 3rd position, with Jack Taylor slated to start from 4th spot. Liam Wilson will start from 5th, with Brandon Templeton starting from 6th. Dan Hickey then will have a grid drop, so he'll drop 5 places back down to 7th. Chloe Grant also being given a grid drop. They're both both starting from row number 4. Harry Burgoyne Jr. starting from 9th position with Callum Baxter in 10th. Lucas Blakely, fresh off to the most dominated victory in GB4's history, will start from 11th spot with Linus Gramfors in 12th and Alicia Palmovsky with a grid drop down to 13th. Who's your favourite for this victory then, Piers? Because I've got to say, I'm leaning a little bit towards Finn Harrison in 3rd.
You've stolen my pick. I was going to say
Yes.
Finn Harrison. He had a very strong race in race number 2, making his way through the field. He's refound his mojo. He was a bit deflated after race 1, but after a good race 2, we spoke to him and he was in a good mood. And he said that he's going to use this to sort of build on some good results towards the end of the season. He's got 2 new left-hand side tyres. He's my pick. But hopefully, this is all adding to his good energy and not going to be a commentator's curse, Lewis.
I had a good chat with Lucas Blakely, and I was like, so what's happening with your tyres? Because obviously, listen, he looked at me dead in the eye and went, I've no idea.
He lets the team deal with those decisions.
Genuinely, that's exactly what he said. He was like, look, the team know what they're doing. I'm going to leave them to it. I'm assuming that is probably the case with quite a few drivers where they maybe just like let the team do their thing. They're probably involved a little bit in strategy, but it's up to the teams to kind of decide really what the dealio is.
Yeah, of course. I suppose this is a lot of the drivers' entry into single-seater slicks and wings racing, the GB4 Championship, either straight out of karts or maybe from, Megan Bruce has come out from Caterhams and such like. I think actually Linus Gramfors, the championship leader, has done touring cars before now in the Nordic countries. So so a lot of drivers, they're maybe not the most experienced in single-seaters. The teams, of course, have got many, many years experience in this sort of thing, so they'll lead the drivers and say, look, we think this is the best opportunity, and the drivers will then take it on board and then maybe discuss with the team, and then as the more they learn, when they move up to potentially GB3, the drivers then might take on a bit more responsibility, and it might become a bit more of a joint discussion on how the tyre strategy goes.
Indeed. Now, as much as we've lent towards maybe Finn Harrison being the favourite, trust me, these drivers that are starting towards the back end of the field, the Harry Burgoyne Juniors, the Harry Burgoyne Juniors, the Lucas Blakeleys, the Alicia Palmovskys, they can move their way through the field in the time that it would take Finn Harrison to move his way through. And hey, those drivers that are starting out at the front of the field, don't necessarily count out those from doing something special here this afternoon. That's what makes this so special. Again, after this, we only have 2 weekends of racing left to go.
Oh, yes. Donington Park and then Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. It'll be good to end the season at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. We've got plenty of racing between now and then. Dobson in her grid box will be looking to get away well. And Megan Bruce will be looking to take her first victory in the championship. Finn Harrison looking to build on the strong result he had in race 2. 5-second boards out. We're going to go racing very, very shortly.
Certainly so. As we get ready for the final race here at Silverstone for GB4, we'll get ready to go racing here as the build-up to the lights, and we head down towards turn 1. Ava Dobson at the front of the field, a very long hold on the grid, incredibly long, as we wait for the lights to go out. Start will be delayed then, as all the cars stop. That was very anticlimactic, wasn't it? That was a very long hold.
Yes, that was too long. I think that's probably why they've delayed the start. I wonder if we'll get another racing lap, because sitting on the rev limiter like that for 5 or 6 seconds, the engine temperatures, the oil temperatures will rise quickly. We have a person missing.
I think Dan Hickey is the one.
Ava Dobson has gone.
Oh, yeah. Ava Dobson has gone, but well, fair enough. I don't know if that will count as a jump start. We've got Dan Hickey. I think this is Dan Hickey missing in the middle of the grid. Yeah, Ava Dobson's gone. What is going on?
Oh, yes, Ava Dobson. Oh, yes, there she is. Right in the bottom right-hand side of the shot. She is. She's moved away from the start box, but it's currently stationary just over the start-finish line. I would imagine they're probably going to send them round for another lap, but that's not that would be my assumption. That might not be what happens. But if they don't, then Ava Dobson, unfortunately, is going to get a jump start penalty. We'll keep you informed. Session time reduced to 16 minutes,
yeah.
So that leads me to believe we're probably going to go round again.
Yeah, so I think they are most certainly, they're definitely going to do another formation lap, but it will take the 2 minutes off from the race distance. And yes, it will be an additional green flag lap. Unknown as to what's happened there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a problem with the lights or the signal or something, or maybe, I don't know, maybe the marshals have seen something on circuit. Maybe Hickey's stranded somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, all that we know is we're going to basically do that formation lap again. We'll scratch that from the record books. Hopefully Ava Dobson gets away with that, because of course she won't want a penalty in her race position that she's starting from pole position.
Well, technically speaking, as I think Dan Hickey fails to get away again. That's fine. There we go. Now he's moving. Just stalling the car there a little bit. Technically speaking, the race hadn't begun.
Yes.
So, theoretically speaking, there shouldn't be a penalty. Although Finn Harrison...
Why is Finn Harrison now in the lead of the race. Does Finn Harrison think
This is
we're
a green.
racing?
This is a green. Surely this is a green flag.
It's guaranteed as a formation lap. They didn't do the start procedure. They did a formation procedure.
So
I really hope that Finn Harrison has realised that this is not the race start, because it looks like he's gone.
But then Megan Bruce has come through, so
maybe the race has started.
Surely not. I'm very
I think we're hearing in our ears that there are marshals on circuit. The race has not started. Therefore, I think this is a miscommunication. I think Finn Harrison thinks the race has started, and everyone else is thinking, oh, well, I better start racing. So this is a bit of confusion going on here.
Yeah, we've got green flags out, though.
Yeah, that green flag is formation lap. You don't normally have a green flag on every marshal post when the race starts. So this is a formation lap, but I think Finn Harrison thinks it's the race start. Hopefully, the drivers can understand what's going on, because currently...
Well, they're not going slow.
No, I think what's happened is Finn Harrison has gone thinking it's the race start, and everyone else is thinking, well, if Finn Harrison's gone, it might well be the race start. No.
Red flag.
Yes. Okay, that is the right thing to do. The drivers definitely think we're racing. Yeah, the drivers definitely think we're racing. Red flag has come out to neutralise the race because there are still marshals out on circuit. Correct decision from race control, unfortunately caused by a bit of miscommunication with the drivers, or misunderstanding from the drivers. That means that we will have a full race restart, so everyone will be back in position. Hopefully, no ramifications from this. Easily done, tensions are high, and there's a bit of an unfamiliar race start procedure.
And unlike in GB3, where we have team radios, so the team can communicate directly with the driver, the only time the team gets to communicate with the driver is when they pass on the start-finish straight. There is no other time, it's just the pit boards. And so as they're driving around, and obviously the marshal posts, fair enough. So it is tricky for them to navigate that, and so you kind of have to just drive from what you're feeling. And if you've just gone, you're seeing green flags around.
Yes.
But then it is weird you've not seen the lights.
The thing is, Finn Harrison in that situation, he's thought there might well be a race start, and therefore he's thought, well, I'd rather play it safe and go and not miss the race start, because they can always do what they have done now, as opposed to thinking the race hasn't started when it has. But anyway, doesn't matter, we can scratch that. The good news is everyone is forming back on position on their actual original grid slots. We don't know whether we're going to have another green flag lap. Ava Dobson's not quite in her grid box. Hopefully...
I think we're surely going to get another green flag lap, though.
Session reduced to 16 minutes. That may well be amended.
Well,
let's forget the last 4 minutes happened.
This has been one of the more bizarre experiences of my commentary career, as the 5-second board is held aloft. Does this mean the lights are coming on? I think that will be the lights on. So yes, indeed, we'll be getting racing again. The lights go out and we are underway once again. No start from Hickey, no start from Dobson as well from pole position. That's such a big shame. And Megan Bruce then will come through to take the lead of the race. Finn Harrison coming through, going side by side with Brandon Templeton at the first corner, I believe, as they head their way down the hill into Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. It's Megan Bruce from Jack Taylor, from Finn Harrison and from Brandon Templeton, and then literally everyone else. Big moment there from Chloe Grant.
Yeah, and Leon Wilson had to take to the escape road as at the inside goes Finn Harrison on Jack Taylor into Chapel corner. That's a great move from Harrison. Harrison's already had one go at the first half of this lap. He's having another go and using that extra practice to good use, and now he's right in the slipstream of Megan Bruce. And also Jack Taylor's getting out. We're 3 wide going up to Stoke corner. Luckily Jack Taylor just backs out. Finn Harrison trying around the outside of Stoke. Can he get it done?
Finn Harrison in the 38, of course, the yellow car for Elite Motorsports, trying to make it sticking around there. It's going to be 3 wide coming down to the Vale chicane because Jack Taylor has snuck his way into the mix. Megan Bruce backs out. Taylor goes around the outside and Finn Harrison hits the front here.
All contact.
There's a little bit of contact there, but nothing too major.
No, just wheel-to-wheel contact between Taylor and Bruce. Bruce comes out better in that, and Templeton's going to try and make the most of this as well, as he's on the back of Taylor up the inside now as we go into Abbey corner, but it is Finn Harrison that's breaking away at the front of the field.
Yeah, there's the look to the inside coming in from Brandon Templeton. Trust me, every single one of these drivers really in it for victory, although the time on that one is most certainly ticking down. We've got 60 minutes of this race, so it'll be an 8-lap race as Taylor gets to the outside of Megan Bruce. Tasty move going into the Village Loop section. That was lovely.
Sorry, Lewis, I spoke over you there. I was going to say that exactly the same adjective. Tasty move around the outside from Jack Taylor. As we see the 2 KMR Sport drivers of Burgoyne and Blakely going side by side through entry, and it's a weaving snake of cars for second down to last place.
Yeah, indeed. It's the defensive line coming in once again from Taylor, because Megan Bruce has got to the inside, sending it down the inside. Big lock up there coming in, I believe, from Brandon Templeton. Taylor's gone out wide. Megan Bruce is still hanging on in there. She gets to the outside as they work their way through Luffield, and finally we can take a breath because we complete the first lap. But trust me, we've got 7 more of this. This is going to be brutal.
We are not done here. Megan Bruce still on the outside of Jack Taylor. Finn Harrison is thanking his lucky stars that these guys are fighting, because he's getting a breakaway at the front. But this battle is continuing on. Good squeeze to the inside from Megan Bruce. Can she hold it around the outside? Oh no! Callum Baxter and Leon Wilson both out of the race in the gravel at Luffield.
Which is a big shame. I had a little chat with Leon Wilson a little bit earlier on. That is almost certainly going to be a safety car, by the way.
Yeah.
These two of these, they've been fighting for the last couple of weeks in the GB4 Championship, and they've continued their fight. Megan Bruce going straight on through Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. It's going to cost her a position to a teammate, as well as Taylor as well. Going to have Chloe Grant on the rear end of her, along with the other two KMR sport cars. A bit of weaving coming in. Is that safety car deployed? No.
I think the safety bar car boards have gone out because the drivers are weaving. Race start will be reviewed after the race, so we can forget about that for now, but it looks like the safety car boards have gone out of that section of the circuit. No, they haven't. So maybe the drivers are just weaving to keep temperature in their tyres, which is interesting.
We've got safety car boards out here.
We have. It's just come out. Just seen. So yeah, confusing race so far, Lewis.
This is up there with one of the more bizarre experiences of sharing a comedy booth with you, which is there's a list. There is a list, and this is going on it. I'm not going to lie, I'm still enjoying it. Finn Harrison most certainly is at the front end of the field. Again, I'll update you with the order once they've come round onto the start-finish straight, as the safety car does get deployed here in what has been a very interesting race here for GB4. And what this will do is it will cut down on the time for the drivers like Linus Granfors, like Lucas Blakely, like Alicia Palmovsky to work their way through the order. I will say Granfors hasn't made up that much room, is he?
What's happened to Palmovsky?
She had to start from the back.
Palmovsky, yeah, but Palmovsky was ahead of Granfors.
We'll update you when they get round to the line.
Yeah, let's do that. But yeah, the Marshal's doing a great job trying to retrieve these cars as quickly as possible so we can get racing underway. I think they're probably going to need some sort of telehandler or zoom boom to get those out of the gravel.
Mark Werrell's gone, mate.
Mark Werrell is not here. Mark Werrell loves the zoom boom.
He loves
Mark Werrell is a commentator for the GT Cup, and Mark and I worked together, and we had many a chuckle over the naming of the telehandlers around the circuit. But it's it's a confusing start to the race, Lewis. But however, great start from Finn Harrison. He got away, made a great move. Jack Taylor also going around the outside of the village. It's probably one of the best moves I've seen this weekend. Brake late. Carried the speed into the corner, and that put him on the inside for the loop. So Jack Taylor found some confidence clearly in that car in this race. But I think Granfors will actually be a little bit disappointed to, a bit disappointed to not make some positions. But he has actually made 4 positions by way of, or 3 positions by way of not crashing, because we have lost 3 cars already, unfortunately.
Yes, indeed. So I will update you with the order then. It is Harrison leading the race, Jack Taylor behind, then Brandon Templeton, Megan Bruce in 4th position with Chloe Grant in 5th, Lucas Blakely directly behind her in 6th position with Harry Burgoyne Jr. behind that in 7th, making it KMR Sport 5, 6 and 7. I'm sure they'll be switching around fairly soon, because I'm pretty sure Harry Burgoyne Jr. is desperate for the title as he leads one of his rivals, 2 of his rivals really, in Palmovsky in 8th position and Granfors in 9th. Then it's Dan Hickey in 10th position, Dobson in 11th, Wilson in 12th, and then Baxter, of course, who is out of the race. It's very interesting. I've seen another one of the JCBs working its way down, so obviously they're going to need an extra little bit of assistance down at this part of the circuit to get rid of 2 cars rather than just the one, which is why we might be under safety car for a little bit longer than what we normally would.
Yeah, there's Marshall's working extremely well to get those cars out as quickly as possible. We're not going to have huge number of racing laps left once those cars are retrieved. But it's interesting to see, Lewis, you pointed out, we've got a championship battle on the road and in the championship standings. It is Burgoyne 7th, Palmovsky 8th and Granfors 9th. So they are going to be nose to tail. They're going to know the situation in the championship. They'll know that they're fighting with people that they need to realistically beat if they want to come out on top away from this weekend, or at the very least give themselves a good opportunity to take the title at the end of the year. So it's going to be a risk versus reward for those guys, because they're going to want to get ahead. But of course, if you try too hard, have an incident and come away with a DNF, then that's a big loss of points.
Now, you've done a few races in the world of motorsport, and I'm sure in that time you've dealt with some weird ones. What's it like in the cockpit when things aren't running to plan? Not just for you, but just generally speaking, it's all a little bit weird. How do you deal with that?
Well, it is confusing sometimes, especially when you're new to single-seater racing. And when I raced in what is now the GB3 Championship, we didn't have radios, much as the GB4 Championship don't have radios, so you have no actual voice communication to either race control or your team. So therefore, you have to rely on the communication from the marshals in a race start situation like that. And it can be a little bit confusing because obviously the lights, normally it's 5-second ball goes on, 5-second ball goes down, lights come on, lights go off, and that's the race start. Right. And then when it's not that and the lights stay on, a bit confusing. The marshal, I must say, on the gantry above, right next to the race lights, did very, very well to bring out the race start postponed, or I can't remember the ball exactly. Delayed, that was it. So that then you know that this is not the race start. But then when the lights go out next, is it then we're racing? And I mean, of course, you might know the procedure when you're chatting like this, Lewis. We're chatting like, we're standing up, we're in here. But when the helmet goes on, you're in the car, adrenaline is high, you're focused on your race. You can just miss a cue slightly, and that might have been what caused a bit of a misunderstanding and why some of the drivers were racing when we were still on the second green formation lap. But again, that will be investigated after the race. Keep an eye on the gb-4.net website for all the updates after this race, because there may be some amends.
Yeah. Also, when you go onto a green flag lap, typically the red lights that are on there, they should have gone to the green lights below them.
Yes.
And if they didn't, if they just went out,
potentially.
As a racing driver, I understand that's a race start.
Yes,
so if the green lights didn't go on, then I kind of get it, because it should be like if you imagine like all your red lights, there's green lights underneath them. When those come on, that's the start of the formation.
Yeah.
So that could add to the confusion here.
Yeah. And I think, as I mentioned, I think Finn Harrison, who was at the lead at that stage, may have seen the red lights go. Again, we didn't see the actual that start or that formation lap start in terms of the lights. But Finn Harrison might have thought, well, I'll go, because if the race hasn't started, I can always rejoin in my normal position. But if I don't go and the race has started, that's time you then can't get back. So, looks like the marshal's doing a great job. We've had one car removed already with just the remaining Arden of Leon Wilson. Those cars look like they're fairly undamaged, so just a team to dust them off and check them over before we go racing again in a few weeks' time at Donington Park. But it's a dramatic start to the race. Bit of chopping and changing. We both called Finn Harrison for the win. He's in a good position at the moment. If he can get a good safety car restart, I believe he has the pace over Taylor and Templeton in second and third. Still my pick. He's got two new left-hand side tyres. I don't believe Templeton or Taylor do. So, yeah.
Templeton is quick enough to maybe try something here, and the thing is, the drivers then that are quick enough, the likes of Lucas Blakely, Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Alicia Palmowski running 6th, 7th and 8th, they're a little bit too far back to work through all those positions, whilst I can see them, at least one of them is going to be on the podium in this race, surely.
Yeah, you say that, but it's so competitive and so close this weekend. And one thing that we haven't actually mentioned, that was the contact between Palmowski and Granfors in the previous race. Yeah. Palmowski actually hurt her wrist. I don't know if you heard about this, Lewis, but she actually had to go to the medical centre, get it checked over. The steering was snapped round in her hand and it hurt her wrist. So she's carrying a small injury, soldiering on though. She was cleared to race, and I'm sure she'll be ignoring that pain as much as possible. But this safety car actually will not help her. She's having to weave left and right. And when you're under safety car, the adrenaline drops a little bit, and those pains kind of increase a little bit. Once you get racing, you can ignore it, but I'm sure that'll be sore this evening. Hopefully that doesn't affect her pace in this race at all, because it would be great to see a good, clean fight between our championship protagonists, Burgoyne, Palmowski and Granfors. And Lewis, I'm going to ask you to call. Who's going to finish higher out of Palmowski, Granfors and Burgoyne? Who do you reckon? What do you think?
Granfors. I still think Granfors is going to be. Burgoyne's in a really good spot, but I do think that the Granfors is going to come through and maybe outscore them.
Just the pace advantage you had.
Yeah, I feel that's the case. But then again, obviously the struggle. I know it was a damaged car. The pace advantage was a little bit of a struggle in the previous race. Anyway, the lights will be coming out on the safety car though. There they go, because the safety car is coming in this lap with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left to go on the clock. It does mean we'll have 3 laps of racing here at the Silverstone circuit. It'll be Finn Harrison in control. Now we've seen a few safety car restarts. A bit in GB3 or GB4. Typically they go around the exit of Luffield. You can go a little bit earlier, but normally you want to wait until that point. And Finn Harrison's really slowed the pack up. Just holding a consistent speed here, slowing the pack up, allowing the safety car to get into pit lane. He'll watch out for that, and as soon as he feels ready, he goes. There he takes off then. So it's Finn Harrison leading from Jack Taylor, from Templeton, from Bruce, from Grant, from Blakely, then Burgoyne Jr., then Palmowski, Granfors, Hickey, and of course Ava Dobson. The 11 cars that remain in this race after the retirements. from Wilson and Baxter. Let's see what's going to happen down to Copse.
Yeah, you can't overtake until the start-finish line, and unfortunately Megan Bruce dropped a wheel into the gravel on the exit of Luffield, and that means that she's dropped off the back of her teammate on the top three and is now under pressure from Chloe Grant right behind. But a great restart from Finn Harrison. He had nearly 7/10 over the line, so a textbook restart. But Jack Taylor, you can see him soaring away at the wheel. The cars move around so much in these high-speed sections.
Whoa.
And then everyone else from third and fourth backwards.
I was out wide from Lucas Blakely. Here comes Alicia Palmovsky getting to the inside of Harry Burgoyne Jr. as she tries to work her way up, not just in the race but in the championship as well. Does not have the straight line speed because Harry Burgoyne Jr. has picked up the slipstream of his teammate Lucas Blakely, who I think played a bit of a team game there to give the slipstream to Harry Burgoyne Jr. to make sure it's a KMR Sport driver directly behind him. Chloe Grant runs out wide and she's going to drop down the order, unfortunately, opening up the opportunity for her teammates to come through. Maybe Megan Bruce. She's going to make the move on Megan Bruce though, so solid effort from Chloe Grant.
Yeah, good move into club there, but she potentially used a little bit of the overspeed from leaving the circuit the previous corner. But nonetheless, brake later, got the move done, so we'll see what happens with that. Now Blakely is on the back of Megan Bruce, going to the inside. Can he get an overlap enough to go through at Abbey as Burgoyne looms large from behind?
Indeed, that'll be a big move from Lucas Blakely if he's able to pull it off. See in the background there as we're trying to watch out for that. We're looking at the battle though for second position as they work their way side by side, definitely into the Village Loop section back there between the likes of Blakely, obviously Grant, and then Megan Bruce. There is Megan Bruce going side by side, out wide and out around the outside. Harry Burgoyne Jr. has opened up the opportunity for Alicia Palmovsky to come through, and here comes Lena Scranfels in the red and white Vortec machine.
Yeah, I think Burgoyne will feel a bit aggrieved at that, but I do think Bruce had the line enough to squeeze Burgoyne on the exits. We're seeing a lot of lockups going into Brooklands. I think it was first of all Templeton and then Chloe Grant locking up in there. Oh, Granville's up the inside of Burgoyne and locking a wheel into Luffield. So a championship battle going on there, and we're still side by side coming out of Luffield, but I think Burgoyne is going to have enough speed to just overlap Granville's by the time they get to Cox, although it is close.
Yeah, it is, but he's going to get a lot more slipstream here. Got to say, Ava Dobson's doing a great job to keep up with Hickey, who's keeping up with this group as well. There's Alicia Palmovsky then, who currently runs in 6th position. It's Megan Bruce directly behind as they battle their way back down the hill slightly into Maggotts, Beckers and Chapel. There is Megan Bruce. Finn Harrison sets the fast lap of the race. Big slide there coming in from Harry Burgoyne Jr. But I've got to say, Megan Bruce left an entire car's width between herself and the apex there going into Maggotts, Beckers and Chapel, and even out of it.
Yeah, unfortunately those just slightly missing the apex hampers your speed, as we now see Chloe Grant looking in her mirrors trying to defend from Lucas Blakely. Blakely falls to the inside in the car that is on the left hand side of shot, the 2 KMR teammates. And Burgoyne is now fighting with Bruce and managing to make his way through after he had a struggle at the middle sector of last lap to do so.
Yeah, Granfall's also struggling to make his way through. It's not commentator's curse, don't worry about it. But we do have a lap after this one, so it's the penultimate lap that we're presently on. Dan Hickey joining the fight as well, the number 16 of Linus Granfalls trying to move his way forward charitably. Things are going to be closing up in the championship, I've got to say, as we head out onto the Hamilton straight down towards Abbey. Defensive line coming in from Bruce. Linus Granfalls with the inside line as we head into Abbey. He's going to be committed, he's going to be brave, but not brave enough.
No, that's good defensive driving from Bruce there, just squeezing Granfalls at the apex, and now Granfalls is actually under pressure from his teammate of Dan Hickey. Dan Hickey looking up the inside, but Granfalls has braked later, gone around the outside, and now Ava Dobson looking up the inside of the loop, not being able to get that done quite. She hasn't got enough of an overlap, so good to see Dobson getting involved in a fight in her first weekend in the GB4 Championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's not running last, obviously, because Wilson and Baxter are out of the race. She is the last of the running drivers, but it's not exactly off the pace. I mean, she's showing some good speed here and is really keeping in tow. Bit of a lock up there, a bit further up the order as Finn Harrison pulls out a 2-2 and a bit second lead because he's setting more fast seconds here. It's going to be another fast lap as we head on to the last lap here at Silverstone as Taylor's desperately trying to hang on to second place from Templeton.
Yeah, Templeton is applying the pressure on the back of Taylor. I think Templeton's got a bit more pace at this stage of the race, and if he can get a good exit out of Chapel, which is the end of the first sector after Maggotts and Beckett's, he might be in a position to slipstream onto the back of Taylor into Stowe, or at least try and move into Vale. But Blakely sets the fastest lap on that last lap, a 2:02.4. Very fast lap at this late stage in the weekend when the tyres are not at their best, and actually Blakely might even be quick enough that he can join this group in terms of second, third and fourth. So Blakely's looking at a potential another podium.
And he is right there indeed as we head onto the hangar straight. Could Blakely round out another podium? I said he's going to have to win this race. He said I'm a tough taskmaster, but that's fine. I am. As there comes the look to the inside. Brandon Templeton will send it coming down into Stowe. Jack Taylor's looking for his first podium in GB4 and will hold around the outside. Brilliant defence coming in from the number 54 Tech machine. They're all miles behind Finn Harrison, but it's a great defence coming in from 50, and I get the feeling that Brandon Templeton is getting a little bit more desperate there because Lucas Blakely is directly behind him.
Yeah, I think Templeton knows he needs to make the move, and actually because he hasn't been able to get that move done, Jack Taylor's actually pulled out a small gap, and now Blakely is the one most likely to make a move for third place in this race. Got an overlap on the outside. That's going to put Templeton offline slightly through Abbey, which means he's potentially going to lose some speed, but actually Templeton's carried a decent amount of speed, so he's not going to be vulnerable into Village. But the loop is probably the last dive opportunity. Is Templeton going to be close enough? No, and neither is Blakely. So it's all going to be about the run down to Brooklands now.
We need Lucas Blakely to stay in this championship for the last couple of rounds of this season, because he's absolutely phenomenal. Is Lucas Blakely. If he doesn't finish on the podium, the first time he's actually finished a race where he's not been on the podium. Of course, yes, he had the penalty back in Snetterton this season, but that's just how consistent he's been. He looks down the inside of Brandon Templeton, but the defensive line comes in. Bit of a lock up there from Templeton as we look to the leader, as Finn Harrison is going to come through the final corner. This will turn the frown upside down within the Elite Motorsports team, because Finn Harrison is going to come across the line to win in GB4 after what has been a tricky few races. Taylor looks to come across the line in second spot, but will it be joined on the podium by Blakely or by Templeton? It will be Templeton at the line by a tenth of a second. Not much between them, as Harry Burgoyne Jr. did get past Alicia Palmovsky.
Yeah, interesting for the championship. Granfers didn't make anywhere near the ground that we thought he potentially could, but nonetheless, a great drive from our leader, Finn Harrison. He dominated that race, really. Actually, the camera's fallen off. This camera on the top of the car has just come unscrewed and is dangling down there, so good job it was only the last lap. But he'll be over Le Moon with that. I think the Elite Motorsport team will be happy for him as well. He's been working really hard to get the results and consistency he needs, and I mean, he was quick in that race, only a couple of tenths off the fastest lap, which was Blakely in the second last lap, but also a great result for Jack Taylor, his first podium in the series.
Yeah, indeed. For Finn Harrison, of course, he has had a podium. It was back here at Silverstone when he had a double pole position earlier on in the season, but it is a first victory for him. And to be fair, when we say back to Alton Park, he was the fastest driver at Alton Park. I still maintain that. He was absolutely the fastest driver in the race at Alton Park and scored absolutely nothing courtesy of retirements in all three of the races. To say he's a driver in 7th spot, and we are shocked it took him this long to take a victory. Round 15 it took him. It just shows how tough and how brutal racing can be when it's not going your way.
The margins are so fine, and he's made a few mistakes. Of course, at Alton Park, he contributed to some of those DNFs, but he's also had some bad luck. And when everything goes right, he can definitely be fighting for the front of the field. And I really do hope that these two results, both in the race this morning and then this reverse grid race win, will help him find some confidence in the fact that he's got the pace, and that maybe he doesn't need to push at 110% all the time. He can go at 99.9 and still be good enough to take podiums and race wins. Yeah. And really, really looking forward to seeing him progress as a driver in the second half of this season, and be up there with Palmovsky at the second half of the season, because we know pace-wise he's been up with Palmovsky quite a lot of the time, but unfortunately due to the lack of consistency he's way down the championship compared to his teammate, but not due to lack of trying, not due to lack of speed. It's just putting a championship together, which potentially Palmovsky has a little bit more experience with. Of course, she was successful in the Jeanette Juniors previously.
Indeed. Well, as we'll see them come into pit lane, we'll be able to catch up with them, and again, it'll be the first time that we get to catch up with Finn Harrison as a winner. I think it was you, Piers. He maybe said that Finn Harrison had made at Alton Park. He only made 3 mistakes. They were just race-ending mistakes. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, Piers. We'll let him run down into the paddock area as well. That's absolutely true. He genuinely only made 3 mistakes that weekend. It just so happens they were at really awkward points. Alas, no mistakes in this one for Finn Harrison, and that will be a very, very sweet victory indeed, to come out on top and to take after an unbelievable drive. I mean, to be fair, when you consider the stress and drama, I know the race start is under investigation. I do not know what's going to happen with that, because it was all chaos at the start, and that's for various reasons. It's a tricky one for them to deal with, as Jack Taylor on to the podium as well, which is a superb performance. It's his first podium in GB4. Great drive. Obviously, he finished in 5th position in the reverse grid race at Donington Park earlier on in the year. Also, shout out to Chloe Grant, who picks up a top 5. She had a podium back in Alton Park, but it's the second top 5 of the season. As being demanded for Finn Harrison to remove his helmet and run over to the for one, to the team to celebrate. and then of course over to John Jackson to have a little chat to see exactly what's been going on. These are the drivers that finish outside of the podium grouping. Those that will be finishing a little bit further down. Of course, you can see them behind, like Linus Gramfors, who might have been a little bit disappointed. Of course, we saw Brandon Templeton there, who did grab himself a third place finish. We saw Linus Gramfors having a little bit of a chat in the background with I think KMR Sport and such. As there is Finn Harrison. Doesn't even really know what to do here. Obviously, you've got to grab the photograph by the board. It might be the stereotypical photograph for a race winner, but let's be honest, it's the one you've just got to get. It's up there with grabbing your trophy and the champagne, obviously, and of course grabbing your photograph as you're climbing out of the car next to the ball finishing first, because a first victory is a big one. Yeah, when you've won 8-9 races, it's kind of a bit like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when you're taking your first victory, that's a big one. This could be a turning point for Finn Harrison in the GB4 Championship. I don't know what his plans are for 2025. But his plans certainly are, okay, let's springboard this and take more victories in 2024. And he's certainly got the pace to do so. Let's see if he's got the patience and has got the ability when we go back to Donington Park, obviously in a few weeks' time, and then to round out the season at Brands Hatch. As he'll just get himself ready for these interviews. He'll get ready to get caught up with by John Jackson. Let's head down to him now.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Do you remember when Lando Norris used that finger once and got into a lot of trouble? Anyway, it was nice to know you used the proper finger. It's been a little bit of a tough season for you, so this must feel great, your first race win.
Yeah, it was been deserved. We nearly had it at Alton. Bad luck at Alton. We had Silverstone, we were really close. Had a bit of a fall off in pace at Donington. Nearly had the balance, but got unfortunate in race 3. And it's finally good I can be able to turn a victory round for the team. After all the hard work with them.
Yeah, when you felt that frustration, how have you managed to keep the motivation there?
Just sort of keep out. You got to know it'll turn your way eventually.
Excellent stuff. I mean, look, the team you were celebrating with massively, and it is really a team effort, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've all worked really hard to get here over the entire winter and all the way through. So we've had a good package rounds today, and it just turned out in race 3. So
and it's going to be a good trip home. Congratulations. We'll let you continue celebrating and get your trophy in a second.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Finn Harrison, race winner. Let's speak to Jack Taylor. We'll let Richard Dutton give him a little handshake here. Why not? Can I just grab you for a quick chat? How was that race out there for you? Your first podium in GB4?
Yeah, it was very fun. I think there was a bit of confusion at the start, and then after then, yeah, I just tried to stay behind Finn Harrison. He took off a little bit, and then I was just defending after the safety car. So yeah.
The start was a little bit confusing there, and I mean you've had some bad luck before, so it must feel good to finally get this podium and be able to go and celebrate in a second up there.
Yeah, it was good after last weekend's reverse grid where, a DNF. But this one, it's a good.
Excellent stuff. Well, look, congratulations to you and the team. We'll let you crack on. Congratulations, Jack Taylor there, coming second. Brandon Templeton getting a photo as well. He's doing 3 fingers. He's doing 3 fingers. He's not doing the 1, he's doing 3 because he came third. Kind of makes sense. Very quick one from you. Congratulations on another podium. How was it out there for you?
Yeah, it was a really tough race. Obviously with a safety car, it shortened it a little bit, but I had to really keep Blakely behind on that one. It was so close to P2 as well, but no, it was good battle. Yeah.
You've got to push all the way, and of course we've got a couple more rounds to go with 6 more races. Very positive way to end this weekend with a little bit of a break now.
Yeah, it's good. Good points also, so 4th in the championship, but happy going into the last 2 rounds.
Nice one. We're going to let you go get your trophy. Congratulations, Brandon Templeton there, finishing 3rd in this final race of the weekend of the GB4 Championship. We're going to let him and the rest of the guys go and collect their trophies now, and Lewis will talk you through it behind me.
I certainly will. Of course, Templeton just beating Lucas Blakely to the line there by a 10th of a second. It was one of the more confusing races in the GB4 Championship. Like I said, race control, do remember all of the results of this race are very, very provisional because the entire race start will be under review by race control. And I'm sure that's for the drivers and for whatever happened with the lights because it was very confusing. I understand the drivers and their struggles. We'll see them out onto the podium there. Of course, Templeton will head up there first, then Taylor, then Harrison. And then, of course, we have the Sunoco fastest driver of the weekend award, which will be, I'm pretty sure it's Lucas Blakely. After the unbelievable performance in race 2. So an extra little prize for him to take back home. Hopefully, before seeing him in the final 2 weekends of the season. Maybe it's unlikely, maybe it is, but I think there needs to be some way that we can see him out on circuit, because he's been such a phenomenal talent this weekend, and of course back in Snetterton. There is Brandon Templeton then on to the podium once again. He has had 3 podiums so far this season, one of those being a victory. There is Jack Taylor up for his very first podium in the season, and of course we await our race winner, Finn Harrison. Another driver to grab a first. This time it's a first victory though. Did grab a podium earlier on in the season at Silverstone. Of course, has had a double pole position at that weekend, but finally a first victory. So to be handed out a trophy, and a very well-deserved one for all 3 of them. Templeton's already got his. And then we'll see Jack Taylor with his, and Finn Harrison with his, as he holds it aloft and celebrates his victory. We'll have the photographs of that, and of course the Snooker Fastest Lap of the Weekend award, which again I do believe is Lucas Blakely, after what has been a very impressive performance. I'm pretty sure as well Blakely must be then the Obligato Ones to Watch award for this round. I'm pretty sure he is anyway. As of course they'll all hold these treasured memories going into the final rounds. Of course, we've got 6 races, and with that we actually do have a large break between them, so we can get some champagne sprayed. We're not racing until the 7th and 8th of September, so if you're not going to do it now, you're only going to do it in the final round of the season. This could be your only time on the podium, and so you might as well shake it up and get some champagne. Boom! Brandon Templeton, much better at that. Cool. That's good to note, as we'll take a look at provisional race results, of course. Again, very, very provisional. Finn Harrison taking the victory. Jack Taylor and Brandon Templeton, the 3 we saw there on the podium. Blakely there in 4th position, with Chloe Grant doing a great job up inside the top 5 for the 2nd time this season. Harry Burgoyne Jr. in 6th spot, with Alicia Palmovsky in 7th. Grand Fours in 8th spot, with Megan Bruce in 9th. Then Dan Hickey taking 10th position. And do note that results are provisional at the bottom. It is going to be important in this one. Obviously, Blakely getting the fastest lap in that. Ava Dobson in 11th position. She finished in 9th in the previous race, and of course with Wilson and Baxter both being out of it. Got to say, Dobson I think did a great job in that race. The championship standings we'll take a look at as well, because Linus Granfors has 321 points. That is 15 clear of Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Alicia Palmovsky 31 behind the championship leader. Those really are the top 3 in the championship. Brandon Templeton's 89 points off the championship lead. It's a little bit too far back with just 6 races left to go, so it is between Granfors, Burgoyne Jr. and Palmovsky. Of course, that gap would have closed down ever so slightly in that race, with Harry Burgoyne Jr. finishing slightly further up than Linus Granfors. Those behind though, Brandon Templeton finishing comfortably clear of Callum Baxter, of course, is out of the race, so pulling a little bit clear in the battle for 4th position in the championship. That victory for Finn Harrison will put him past Brandon McCacken, who obviously has not been racing for a couple of rounds this season. Then Lucas Blakely in 8th position in the championship. To be fair, he's closing up if he does another couple of rounds. I mean, I can see him scoring very nicely if he does do the final 2 rounds of the season. Jack Taylor and Chloe Grant rounding out the top 10. Taylor, of course, getting that very first podium. Speaking of Chloe Grant, let's head down into the pit lane.
Right, we're down here getting some post-race reaction after what was a chaotic race. Chloe Grant. Chloe, first of all, to start, from your perspective, what happened?
Well, I don't really know why they delayed the start. I did see one person, the person starting in pole, jump, and I know somebody stalled at the start of the first green lap flag. But yeah, I did sit on the limiter for a bit longer when I saw the lights were still on, because I didn't want to get missed out if they did randomly go off. Kind of like the mess at British F4 they had a couple of weeks ago. I thought the same thing was going to happen. So yeah, it was just a bit hectic. And then they did another green flag lap, which I thought was very clear. It was just another formation lap in a way. But quite a few people, I think everyone in front of me just kind of went. I think Harrison might have started it because he went straight to first. So yeah, I think definitely that's not legal. I think that was a starting infringement, 100%. It's like you can't do that. Maybe it was just a misjudgment, but it's not legal at the end of the day. So yeah, it was a bit of a messy one, but I'm glad that I realised it was just green flag and not actually the start of the race, because I did start to panic at one point. I was like, oh, have I missed it? But I knew I did what was correct. So yeah, that was definitely the most hectic start I've had.
Okay, so we had the green flag formation thing, then we had the real race start. Talk to us about your race from there.
Race start was actually not too bad. I think this race I knew I had to get my elbows out a bit more because I've been a bit too forgiving in the past couple of races. So I did exactly that, and I managed to gain 3 positions, I think. I finished P5 in the end anyways. Yeah, kind of difficult in the end because I did have to serve a penalty for the start of this race because of the last round. So seeing if I started where I was with the way I was driving, I probably could have been on the podium, but we'll just see what happens once they look into that race start again. Yeah, safety car restart again was good. I think unfortunately Megan maybe just got a bit too excited and dropped a wheel, and I had to lift off as I'm not allowed to overtake her until the start finish line again. So that was a bit more messy and panicking about people in my mirrors, but just kept it on track, did the best that I could, and it's not a bad result in the end.
Yeah, a good couple of moves out there. Looked like it was good racing.
Definitely, and then everyone gave room. Like, it was close, but everyone was quite respectful, I feel, so yeah, it was good.
Good racing, and then of course we're looking ahead now. Donington and Brands to go. What can you do?
We'll see. Currently, I'm hoping to make it to those rounds financially, but we'll see what happens because me and my family are trying to get those funds together. As you know, it's a money sport, unfortunately. So that's currently the mission, is to get those funds to make those rounds. And I think my worst thing is qualifying at the minute. So just in any practice I get to do, doing very, very short runs rather than the whole session, but as in coming in and go out again, to work on just getting that tyre in, going immediately, getting that lap time in. Because I can race, I can do it. I just need to get the qualifying nailed.
Amazing. Well, Chloe, we'll look forward to seeing you there, hopefully. Thanks very much for chatting to us. We'll let you go and cool off after what was a chaotic race. Thanks very much. I'm going to grab a word with... We've had Lucas Blakely on a lot this weekend, but Lucas, you mentioned it may well be, who knows, we'd love to see you on the grid again, but it may well be your last GB4 race for a while. Just sum up the weekend for you.
Oh, how long do I have?
Give us a minute and a half.
Yeah, so it's been a whirlwind. I mean, I came here knowing that I'd need to, arrive, get on the pace really quickly, not hang about. And yeah, I just think I'm really happy with how we worked from Thursday, Friday through the testing, made constant progress. Saturday came round, put it on the front row again, which is, was really important just to be in the mix. And then that's what gave us the opportunities to, get P2 in race 1, push Linus really hard, and that's sort of like that was sort of the moment where I really started to feel on top of probably driving around this track. Snetterton I did last year, so that helped, but coming here I still had to do a little bit of catch up. And then race 1 gave me a lot of confidence, and then in race 2 I refined my start because grippier surface than on the start line. It's so much grippier than Snetterton, so adjusted my technique, got Linus off the line, drove my heart out, and then that last race was, it started and then it stopped, and then it started and it stopped. It was a really, really crazy one. Managed to navigate the chaos, which is what I said to you before on the assembly area. So yeah, glad that I got back in one piece. I was really, really wanting the podium at the end. It was right in front of me. I was hoping I'd get a chance, but Brandon didn't give me too much. He was, covering just the right moments. I think another lap and it would have maybe been a different story, but that's a lovely racing driver's excuse. So all in all, very happy, and huge thanks once again to KMR Sport for giving me an awesome car all the way through. It just got better and better.
We love your racing driver's excuse. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank, along the way? Because of course it's not just... You've not just been working alone to get into this position. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, my mum and my dad, my family, because I'm just grateful that I was able to have my mum and my dad here for this round, which they'd never seen me drive a GB4 before becoming here. So I'm really glad that they got to be here, and I managed to get a win for them. And yeah, that was probably like one of my last bucket list things I wanted to tick off, was winning here and winning in front of my mum and dad, who they're the ones that sacrificed all the things that they loved when back in 2010 to 2015 when I was doing go-karting. They gave it everything and invested a lot in trying to help me go racing, the thing that I loved. And then I almost just wanted them to see that all the long journeys up and down the country, Scotland, England, Wales, wherever it may be, doing kart races, all that time away, dragging me and my little brother as well, who's not here unfortunately, but him as a young kid getting dragged up and down the place. They've all been on board with me this whole time, and it just meant everything for me to look down at the podium and sort of point to them with the P1 trophy. So that will be my number one takeaway, and also just a huge thanks to everybody that supported me individually. Anyone that's came up to me in the paddock, that makes my day as much as it hopefully makes theirs. And yeah, I'm just grateful for all the time that I've had in this championship, whether it's the end or not. That's for the future to decide. I'm just grateful that I savoured that in lap as much as I could.
So
It's a comma, not a full stop.
yeah, I like that. But
We'll see how you go. But anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you in the championship. Great that you could win Silverstone Grand Prix so again in front of your parents this weekend. And hopefully we'll see you soon. So Lucas, thanks very much. Hopefully see you again, and we'll let you chill out for the rest of the evening.
We were talking earlier about the electricity bill. It's quite big, wasn't it? Electricity bill?
no comment.
No comment.
What's
no
this
comment.
electricity bill?
I was just saying with all the sim racing he does. I wanted to ask his dad earlier just how much the electricity bill was, and the look on his face, and I mentioned the bill. There's obviously been an issue there. We'll dig into it before Donington Park. Great weekend of racing.
Hey, I mean, a lot went on, a lot to talk about. Too much almost to cover, but it's a shame we wanted to grab a word with Callum Baxter, but unfortunately not the best race for him in that one, coming together with Leon Wilson and ending up in the gravel.
Yeah, it was an interesting start as well. So that's obviously being looked into, and there's results are not classified fully yet.
Provisional.
They're provisional. They'll get looked into. I know you're trying to avoid something else that's going on at the moment, and sometimes results can change after the race, Piers. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all we can say. But
have a think what you're trying to ignore at the moment, Piers. Just giving you a little clue about what might be happening in Belgium. Don't worry.
Oh, the Formula One. I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers in the comments.
Don't tell him in the comments, please. but obviously, things are provisional, but we'll get on with that, and that'll be looked into the start there. But very well handled, actually, from you and Lewis. I have to say, it was very good, because I think it was confusion all around there, but it can happen.
I mean, I think everyone was confused. I think the drivers were confused. Lewis and I were certainly confused. Marshals were a little bit confused. One thing I think that from that race was very well controlled was race control. They weren't confused. They saw that there was a miscommunication and a misunderstanding. Instant red flag, which neutralised the race. All the drivers knew then to slow down, so no one was at risk, no one got hurt, everything got sorted, and we went racing again, and then we had a great race. So, really well done from race control, actually. I must tip my hat to them.
Absolutely. We have 2 race meetings to go this season, then that's 6 races. We also have ourselves a championship battle, which is exactly what we want, isn't it? Because last year, Tom Mills ran away with the championship, which was great for him, and it was exciting to see his story, but it wasn't quite as exciting because we wanted to see a battle there.
We did want to see a battle, but Tom Mills' second half of last season was almost unstoppable.
Yeah.
But this season we've got an absolute 3-way ding-dong of a battle. Parmowski, Granfers, and my brain, Burgoyne, all very close on points.
I was just waiting.
I just thought of a KMR car and I was like, no, it's not Blake. Anyway, we've got a tight battle. Really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Of course, 3 strong teams, 3 strong drivers. 2 different circuits, Brands Hatch GP at the end of the year. What's not to love?
3-way battle, 6 more races to go, 2 more race weekends, and the first one of those race weekends is Donington Park. It's the first weekend of September after a short break. Of course, you can go back and relive every single moment of all the action from this season so far on the GB4 website, and of course on the YouTube channel or the Facebook page you're watching this on right now. And of course, we'll be back for Donington Park alongside GB3. So we will see you then. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.